And you've been in the clerk of court's office ever since then as the clerk of court.
That's correct. Well, I wasn't sworn in until May 1st of '64, but that's within a short period of time afterwards.
Right. Now, in 1964, how many judges were there in Terrebonne Parish?
In '64, we had one judge.
One judge.
And the Terrebonne and Lafourche were in the same judicial district, and so the district attorney was from Lafourche, and the judge was from Terrebonne, and the judge would alternate on cases. We were a situation where we didn't have nearly as much court as we have now. It wasn't that litigious a place, that we didn't have so much legal activity going on, and as the parish grew and we got more involved with the thing, ultimately the parish was split in '72, and in which time we had more judges, and now we have 5 plus a hearing officer, which gives us the equivalent of about 6, the equivalent of 6 judges.
Now, we have 5 district court judges.
Right.
1 hearing officer, Mr. Bill Dunkelman, who
That's
is
right.
the child custody hearing officer. But also, we also have a city court judge.
Yes, and his jurisdiction is parish-wide, but it's more limited.
Right. And when we split in the '70s with Lafourche, Lafourche also has more judges now than they did
Oh, yes.
back then.
I think they have probably the same number as we do.
Tell me about the technology differences between when you started in the clerk's office and now, what your staff is working on.
Well, when I started in the clerk's office, we still had the manual typewriters, and eventually we graduated to something as great as an electric typewriter, and which made it very difficult, because as you had to bear down on the manual typewriter, but you had to be so careful with the electric, and that's how you really learn how to type all over again. And then we graduated into the Xerox machines, the speed dialing on the telephones, and the fax machines, and now we've got images and all kinds of new innovations. And I was able to be fortunate enough to be able to see most of that stuff evolve, and it's just amazing.
Now, I know when I go to the clerk's office now and I ask for a document, they can actually pull it up on the screen.
That's right, because it's been imaged and it's right there on the computer. All you have to know is the entry number, and they can pull it right up.
And so every document that comes into the clerk's office is scanned and therefore is able to be accessed by the computer by the staff.
And that's part of the technology that if my predecessor was here, he would not be able to. It would take him some time to become accustomed to that, because we were still evolving at the time that he left.
When you started in the clerk's office, or when you first became the clerk of court, how many staff members were there at that time? I know you had 1 judge and 1 district attorney for 2 parishes, both Lafourche and Terrebonne, but how many staff members were in the clerk's office?
I would say about 12. About 12. Now I have about 65, something like that, to take care of all of the increasing workloads and docketing, and our civil docket is a lot. Our criminal docket is very heavy also, and so we have 5 judges, and a lot of times they work in all 5 at the same time.
Now, one of the things you do as the clerk of court for Terrebonne Parish is swear in elected officials.
Right.
And some elected officials throughout the years have been very colorful, and I know you've sworn in all of the judges, all of the sheriffs, and we're going to talk about that when we come back, some of those colorful characters, in just a moment. Stay with us on Interview with Mike Billiot.
The switch is on. LCN, the Louisiana Superstation. Louisiana like you've never seen. It's what's happening throughout the state, keeping you informed and entertain. It's the largest variety of Louisiana programming anywhere. It's the newest and latest in Louisiana. LCN. Join us as we bring Louisiana to America.
In the days leading up to a big game, we've got a game plan even before the first pass is thrown.
Our game plan protects us as we make our way to the end zone.
As hurricane season fast approaches, the safety of all Louisianians is just as critical. And that's why we're urging you to get a game plan right away that'll keep you and your family safe.
With the game plan, you can quickly execute your plays if a hurricane approaches and evacuation is necessary.
For more information, go to getagameplan.org and create a winning game plan right now for you and your family.
Welcome back to Interview with Mike Billiot. I'm talking today with long-term Terrebonne Parish Clerk of Court, Bobby Boudreaux. During the break, we were talking about some of the things that we both remember from downtown Main Street from a long time ago. And I was saying that I remember that when I was a young child in Houma, I was a Boy Scout, and I got my Boy Scout uniform from DuPont's, which is now closed. But do you remember when DuPont's was a major department store in Houma?
Actually, DuPont's was probably the ultimate shopping place where people would go, because they had everything in there. And then down the street, across from the courthouse, was the post office. And then we had the J.C. Penney's, F.W. Bullsworth, Barber's Youth Shop. The Davidson's Hardware was downtown, and at one time you could take and walk from Good Street, and you were in walking distance with 4 movie houses. You had the Grand, the Bijou, the Fox, and across the bayou was the Park Theater. It was just a marvelous situation. It is quite different today.
Now, so then downtown was the hub of Houma at that time.
Correct.
So we ride down Martin Luther King today in Houma. We'd never know that anything else was the hub of Houma. But a long time ago, 50s, 60s perhaps, the downtown area was the place to be.
It was the ultimate place to be. You could find anything you wanted right on Main Street within walking distance.
I remember my mother taking me to get to buy clothes in J.C. Penney's, which used to be located downtown, currently located in the mall, Southland Mall in Houma. But about when did things start to change where people and businesses started to move out of the downtown area of Houma?
I have difficulty sometimes in remembering exactly when it happened, but I would say it was probably in the 70s. And 80s in that area, and they began to slowly change. The traffic problems were the parking problems were problems. It always has been a problem, because that's what drives people to come in. They have to have a place to park, and there was the bus depot was downtown, and all of these places that people would be familiar with were all downtown.